I want to make an important note before the video starts that if you haven't read the Attack on Titan manga, don't know how it ends, or don't want to know how it ends yet, this video does contain heavy spoilers for the final chapter. It might not be your cup of tea. I know that I'm normally anime only friendly, but I felt obligated as a primarily Attack on Titan focused channel to make a video about the ending, now that it's finally here and making big news. Plus, I just wanted to talk about it. So, the spoiler warning behind me, here we go. After 11.5 long years, Chapter 139 has brought a close to the monumental series of Attack on Titan. The series who tops MyAnimeList's most popular manga, whose anime adaptation became the #1 most viewed television series in all of America during Season 4. Its impact will probably never be lived down, and there were hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people waiting on how it would close in Chapter 139. So, how was it? How did we all react? Personally, I loved it. Of course, that's just my opinion. If you go to the comments to blast me, at least do it respectfully. But also, hear me out, because I know a lot of people were left with a couple, if not many, complaints. And I'm not trying to fight anyone or start any beef, just give my reasoning on why I enjoyed it, and hopefully you can see the brighter side of Isayama's writing. Or maybe see why it's not as extremely bad as you may think, if you think that. One of the biggest problems people had with the chapter that I saw on Twitter and stuff was how it basically reduced Eren from this developed, serious, anti-hero type character to a jealous, lovesick brat. Which, yeah, you can see it in that way, but I don't think this was as serious of a hit to his character as people really think it is. Ever since Eren saw the future when he kissed Historia's hand, he has been completely different. A man on a mission, extremely serious and devoted absolutely to the future he thought was best for the world. But it was also so sudden a shift in his character that anyone that I think felt remotely attached to Eren before that happened saw a huge change in their favorite character that went largely unexplained for a long period of time in the manga. And I personally thought that this dehumanized him. I think that, yeah, seeing the future understandably took a toll on his mental state and that of course he would change. So what I love to see in Chapter 139 is that it showed that Eren is still, behind all that, before that happened, is still just a teenager. He's really just some kid who is burdened with being one of actually many martyrs for the future he saw. He did feel regretful towards Armin, he does still love Mikasa, he cares about each and every one of his friends enough to visit them through the path individually and tell them about his plan. It restored that sympathetic human side to his character that we haven't seen in so long, and that's how I saw it. Granted, the only cheesy part and panel that I really didn't like about this chapter, because I didn't love everything, was the part where he complains that Mikasa should only love him. I thought it was kinda forced, and the delivery of it really did make it feel like less making him human and showing that he's still a kid to making him into a brat. So in this sense, I can definitely see where people are coming from, but other than that, I thought it did justice pretty well to his character. It brought back a side to his character we haven't seen in super long, and I thought that, I was really happy to see it. There's also the fact that Eren basically just pulled a Lelouch, which is making himself the villain for the rest of the world, so both sides, who were formerly enemies, would connect and become allies over the common enemy they shared. Which, if you're complaining about that now, this was literally so obvious that it was going to happen for the past 20 chapters. There was literally a 100% chance Eren had some ulterior motive behind the rumbling. But also, it was surprisingly different in my eyes from the ending of Code Geass, in a fashion that I found very much befitting of Attack on Titan. Look, that was a lot of words, let me explain further. When Code Geass finished, it was basically assumed that everyone was just happy that Dictator Zero was gone and lived out their lives in harmony together. But that's not what happened in Attack on Titan. Eren had to kill 80% of humanity, and that literally just staved off the fighting. The Jaegerists still built an army afterwards, and at the end, after everything's over, it's still up to the Survey Corps who have seen both sides to try and make peace, whether that's even possible. Which is exactly what Attack on Titan has always been about, that humanity will always be fighting. If you leave even 20% of them like Eren did, then they will keep fighting. It's the cycle of hatred. And so now he must entrust building that peace to Armin and the Survey Corps, because more needs to be done. And I think that cruel fate, that there is so much more peace to be made despite everything Eren has done and sacrificed for this cause, is exactly the kind of ending befitting of Attack on Titan. I think that the series put enough of a twist on pulling a Lelouch in a way that is very tragic and almost disappointing, that not everything was fixed by what Eren did. It's exactly what Attack on Titan would do. It's exactly what Isayama would do, and that's what I love about it. And here I'll stop addressing complaints for a little bit and just straight up talk about what I loved. First, Levi's ending. This is one of the few things I found very few, if any, complaints about, because it was beautiful. We've already seen the souls of former scouts in this way before, but for some reason seeing Levi at, his physically worst, after everything finished with a single tear going down his face doing the salute, was just so sad to see, and so precious. He's finally at peace. He no longer has to keep fighting, to keep living up to the expectations of the souls burdened on his shoulders. If anything, actually, he has to now live up to their hopes of peace, of living his life with no more fighting. I think that's what anyone would have wished upon Levi. Likewise, I think the feelings after Titans were removed from the planet was amazing. Reiner's mom telling him that she just needed him, that being an honorary Marleyan or fighting for the country meant nothing compared to that, was awesome. Especially for Reiner, one of the characters most mentally and emotionally burdened with betrayal and the consequences of being a Titan. To see him relieved of that duty finally was great for his character. Connie knowing that his mother is finally saved, a small but constant plot point, all of it was just so awesome in my opinion. I also thought it was really cool how Eren was the one who sent Dina Fritz to eat his mom and spare Bertholdt. Not like really cool that Eren killed his own mom, but more cool story-wise. It was just another testament to how mentally burdened he was, knowing that he forced his own father to eat the royal family and Dina to eat his own mother and betray his friends. It just makes his story so much sadder and more tragic when realizing what he had to do all on his own. I also thought it was perfectly fitting that the way that the conflict resolved on the mainland between them was not because it was all over, that the fighting was finished, but that they talked. That Armin came to discuss it with them and that everyone really had to think it over, that violence wasn't even the solution. Which again, fits in exactly with the themes of Attack on Titan and makes Armin's character all the more important. We've known that from the start, or should've, that Armin was chosen for a reason, that dealing with issues in a way separate from violence is the solution, is the only one that really works without creating even more violence. And now back to some complaints. People were pretty unhappy, I think, that Historia didn't even get Eren's kid, that she really did just have some random farmer's baby, and that almost any character development was kind of thrown out the window. Which, okay, yeah, is kind of upsetting. I mean, it was just a red herring, which is a clue in literature that's meant to be distracting and purposefully mislead the viewer or reader. And I mean, I can't really go much into depth about this, but yeah, I see why throwing out her character is kind of saddening, but I mean, she also just looks happy to be herself, a mother and a wife and a queen. Something that she could never do as a kid as she hid her identity, as she was forced to be someone by her father. It's very similar to Levi's story in my opinion. Just food for thought. And the whole thing with Ymir waiting for Mikasa, it had me pretty confused. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know everything. But I guess if I had to put it into words, it was that Mikasa could do what Ymir couldn't. Despite the love she had for Eren, she had the resolve to kill him for the sake of ending the violence. Ymir loved Karl Fritz and couldn't stop him even though she knew he was cruel. It's just poetic, I guess. This was probably one of the bigger plot twists about Chapter 139, the importance of Mikasa, and I honestly think it could have gone without this. Without her being the destined one for Ymir and Eren's rant about wanting to be with her still. And I think she still would have felt super important even if these parts were gone. It became kind of cheesy towards the end how much they were buttering her up, but you can't be perfect. And I think that's what a lot of people who are complaining can't realize, or just refuse to. There are millions of Attack on Titan fans who are waiting on this chapter, so from the get-go there was no way that everyone would be happy with the ending. That's always how series work. Comparing it to Game of Thrones feels pretty stupid to me and kind of exaggerated. I don't think it was nearly that bad as someone who's watched that series as well. I think almost every character except maybe Eren, but even I think he was justified in that last part, got a pretty solid ending. And it fits with the tones of Attack on Titan, which I think is honestly the most important. That making an ending isn't just for the sake of making everyone happy, but for fitting in with what the story has set out. And also, blaming Isayama for this is just sad. It's like where AOT fans raged at MAPPA for not animating it properly, even though it's literally top 5 on my anime list now. Like, some people just can't be happy with something. Seeing Eren be human again, showing his passionate side towards his friends, after dealing with the pain and mental strain of seeing past, future, and present all at the same time and trying to control it, while also giving justice to Armin and Mikasa and Levi and proper ends for many of our characters. Like, come on, give Isayama some props. What'd you guys think? Try not to start a fight in the comments, let's be gentlemen. But I don't know, I was happy. Maybe I'm not such a diehard fan, or maybe I'm just not as picky as other people. Or maybe I saw what Isayama was really trying to do, but that feels kinda extra. I don't think I'm that special. Anyway, this has been the Anime Culture Corner. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for future in-depth show, manga, and character analyses.